I have the pleasure of introducing David Trautman. David's been the president of Argyll Community League for a number of years. His bio is too convoluted to be brief, I'm told, but he states that he's just the next in a long line of troublemakers who have led the Argyll Community League. I'm sure that's not true, David. These are his words, not mine. But we do want to thank you, David, for all that you do for the Community League movement. And you've certainly dedicated a lot of your time to us as well recently with the tripartite discussions through your participation on our working group as well. So I'll pass it over to you, David.
Thank you very much. We are all troublemakers here, so I can confirm that to you. I want to start with a shout out to Naomi and Chappelle. I got to meet Naomi a couple of years ago and consider her one of my friends now. And I was happy to see her in the mosaic here. We first began talking about a response on March the 14th when I got an email from somebody in my events committee and said, "Would you let us do this?" And I said, "Why should I stop you? Yes, go do this." By the 18th, we had a printed card. We had signed up for a text relay service. We had gathered up some volunteers through our email events newsletter, and we generated 4 teams of people with about, I had a team leader and about 8 or 9 people in each of the groups. And we've served about 20 people so far, but this was all put together because people needed something to do. When they first encountered the COVID problem, they felt kind of helpless to do anything, because we're all isolated and kept in our homes, as it were. But we decided that if we could give somebody something to do, they would feel more like they're part of the community. And it's not top down as to what the community can do for you, but what you might do for your neighbor and anyone else in your area. So that's how we got to a COVID response team. And then we went to help out a COVID response community cuisine effort. That's my next slide. I don't know if I'm controlling these or not. There we go. This was the notice card that was put in the mailboxes of every resident. And the next slide shows how it's described for getting groceries. You text one word, grocery. And if you text pharmacy, someone will come and deal with you. And we had another category of other, because there are other things like appointments to take people to and that sort of stuff. So for everyone who was going to offer their support as a volunteer, they got trained and they were given some protective materials. And then they were able to go out and get groceries for someone. We even worked out a way for people to pay for it through our Square service and a card thing we have. And also it offered people a chance to say, "I can help," and then add their name to the volunteer list. So that's been going on since the 14th of March. It's still going to go on until all of this comes to a close. And many of the people actually have gotten to know new neighbors through this process. So that's why this response thing is so unique for us, is it wasn't the community league doing it, it was neighbors saying, "Can we do this?" And then we supported them. It's very inexpensive too. You guys may have seen an appeal for a kitchen from the COVID response community cuisine effort. This is a group of chefs and restaurant workers who just saw a need and needed to do something about it. And they started working out of a restaurant downtown until the restrictions eased a little bit. And they were unable to use that restaurant kitchen anymore. So they put out an appeal, which I think went to every darn community league we have. And I called my facility manager, and the two of us decided this is really something we can do. We can actually do this. So I got in touch with the guy, and he came by and looked at it, immediately wanted to use it. And these are certified chefs. We've looked at their certification. We have requirements in our kitchen for proper food handling. I'm certified too. We also found that it was very convenient for the food security use of a hall to all have been created almost 3 or 4 days before this came to us. And these guys are funded by the Edmonton Community Foundation and organized through the John Humphreys Society. They have a number of volunteers who drive the food to various places in the city. This food is a hot meal, And it's actually, I can tell you, it's kind of tasty and very novel. They have a 3 cheese macaroni thing that is just to die for. So these guys are now operating out of our center. The only issue we had with it was that, if we had, because we have a hall that has a very high profile in the neighborhood and everyone knew it was closed, what happens if people start coming and going? People will either phone me and say, Dave, who are those people coming and going? Or they'll think the doors are open for them as well, and then the playground kids will want to use the washroom and that. So we had to find a way to get them in and out of the building without anyone noticing, and we're doing very well there. And we also had to protect the rest of the building. That is, they only get to use certain parts of the building, and the rest is locked off from them. And these guys, as you can tell, know a thing or two about clean. And then my facility manager did not find it an extra burden for him to go in afterwards and make sure everything was brought back. And he uses the weekend actually to do that. He gets the whole place done up again. And whatever threat that's in there is done. So they'll be open and doing things until such time as everything is finished. And I've been told they're doing 300 meals a day. Right now, we're looking to do a couple of things in the future. One is a parade for July the 1st. Oh yes, there's a little whimsy going on in the neighborhood too. We had some painted rocks up and down our creek. These rocks were painted and placed in various parts of the underbrush, and really decorated the place. We found out some children had done this as a project in their own home. And unfortunately, they have an artist for a mother, so this facilitated this. This thing is about 4 or 5 inches tall. It stretches out for about 8 or 10 inches. It's a little miniature tableau at the base of a boulevard tree, which is entertaining people as they go for a walk in the neighborhood. And the next one is a birthday party, I think, on the front lawn. And I think a lot of people are doing this now, is they can have people sit on the boulevard, sit on the lawn, be far away, and still have a lovely time and sing and eat cake. So I guess the last slide is what we're doing next is music summer parade through the neighborhood on Canada Day. We have a number of professional musicians in our neighborhood, but we also have a regular jam group of about 18 seniors who sit in our hall and jam off key most times with their own instruments and everything else. And they usually did this on a Thursday afternoon. They approached me one day and said, can we use the hall now? And we couldn't let them. But I'm going to get them to march through the neighborhood. We might actually have a parade of pull carts or wagons if kids want to decorate their wagon and walk behind one of these musicians. The musicians will keep everyone separated. And then, of course, the rest of the community sits on the lawn. This works for us because we're the smallest neighborhood in the whole of the city of Edmonton, so it'll be a short parade. We usually have a summer barbecue. That will be subject to AHS restrictions and likely not going to happen. And the Community Day movie is held in the park outside our building. We have it outside. And we're hoping that by September, things will open up enough for us to be able to do that Community Day movie in the park. So that's what we've been up to. And we're inspired by what we see other people doing as well. And we're jealous of some of the other people like Richie who come up with a nice citywide bike contest. So we'll have to think of something much more creative later in August or September. So thanks for your time.